across this, so there's not a significant amount of damage to the wetlands. So that first step of it, that's with the staging area for the in the front along Randolph Ave. Once we get across, you can create a staging area on the other side and use that to attack the construction of the roadway from both sides, and build the walls and fill and build the utilities as you move forward. So the staging areas are going to be twofold. There's going to be a preliminary one in the front,
And then the second.
and then we'll have one in the back. Then as the site is cleared from that point, once we get across in a safe manner and everything's, the replication area is built, we'll go in and take care of the rest of the lot. And
Just footings down there and then building up and building street, it's all open underneath, right?
open underneath where?
Underneath
Oh,
the-
parking. It's on stilts.
It-
Right.
Do you have drawings of the buildings that you can provide? To help us understand what you're proposing?
There are
Architectural drawings?
We don't have them here.
They were included in the ZBA application, but
Oh, not in our application.
No.
not in your application.
Can we get a set of plans?
Absolutely.
Stone strong.
What's that?
That's the wall.
Okay, if you could provide a detail, that'd be great. Stone drawing.
Jim, I will confess, I got lost in your stormwater. I really need some assistance in terms, and maybe somebody's a lot smarter
It
than
is,
I am.
I agree with you, it's complex.
I agree.
And I start from the proposition that I've seen pictures back, and this is what, the third project for this site, at least,
Well, from where are you starting from, Meg Lane?
1993.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen these before.
What got approved, Ashley Place?
What's that?
Ashley Place got approved? I forget. One of them got approved.
I don't know, but they all had problems with this area right here, with tremendous flooding behind these houses. And I'm looking at a whole lot of impervious surface here.
Sure.
And give me the sheet flow, because how are you gonna prevent these houses from getting flooded? And I understand that it's supposed to be in the stormwater, but with all those, I did get lost.
Yeah, no problem. So, each building has an underground detention structure, represented by the yellow block here. They are 30-inch round pipes, so you get a 2.5-foot pipe, significally long. I'd say that's probably
Beneath the
200 feet.
slab?
Beneath the slab. Everything's below grade. All right, then we have another configuration here, configuration here. So this is all for the roof runoff. This is all for this roof runoff. This captures the runoff for these two catch basins here, and it ties into a drain manhole control structure here. Now that control structure is what I talked about earlier. It's the end of that HDPE pipe with a cap on the end of it. And you core, so I have, a 15-inch pipe coming in one end, and I have, a 4-inch orifice coming out the other end. And then above that, for larger storm events, I'll have a 6-inch orifice above that. So as the stages fill up, the water flows out in a controlled fashion to mimic what's being flown off the site currently. Okay?
And I did go to the last page, and I got your conclusions that show a slight improvement
Right.
over existing conditions. But that's a lot of impervious surface. What's the overall capacity of the retention? We're talking,
I could-
20,000 gallons, or?
No, it's much more than that.
Where's the outflow?
The outfall's right here,
How many are there?
just one.
Okay, so I've got an
It's-
issue with 100% of the capacity going out of a single outflow.
Okay.
So you're gonna need to provide, you're basically taking 100% of the capacity that's on the site, understanding that you're
But-
controlling it, but
right.
you're still putting it out from one point.
Not only, just beyond this, the structure here is, that's the ultimate, that's the control structure. It's basically a 10-foot deep, 10 by 10 manhole with a dividing wall that has orifices up that wall at various elevations. So when this fills up, that's what controls the flow out.
Isn't that where your replication area is?
Yes,
So you've got wetlands being created above a 10-foot deep manhole?
below it.
Below.
This outfall flow is at the base of it and flows
Right.
and feeds the replicated wetland.
I just think you need more outflow.
That's
You need-
fine, I
you
mean,
need
you know,
options.
and I'm thinking off the top of my head,
Yep.
and just to
Yep.
give you an idea, I mean, what you could do is, what I've done in the past, is bring a header pipe across,
Right,
and, you know, like we did up at Curry College.
percolate or whatever, yeah.
So there's answers to that,
Yeah.
so.
All right, I just know from past projects, and I do remember seeing, this is probably 20 years ago, seeing pictures of these houses here, and you could have had a boat in here. And that's a lot, you know, to put into the system.
But my
And
job is-
I know that's your job, but I wonder if, I know I need a consultant to assist me in understanding, that's a lot of water.
Okay, well,
Gonna go into the vernal pool across the street.
so let me ask you this, we're going to the ZBA,
Yeah.
they're gonna ask for the same thing.
Can we share a consultant? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
'Cause-
looking to drive your
right.
costs
No,
up.
it just, yeah, and, yeah, I'm sure ZBA, and we expected that, to tell you the truth, so, a peer review. This is a large project and it's complex, so, we're prepared to have a peer review on it and revise the drawings, with suggestions that make sense.
Any questions from the commission?
That was-
Arthur?
We can trace that all the way to the stream.
Right here. Oh, and so here's the control structure. So this is the top of the system, 2 catch basins drain this part of the parking lot, flow into here, and water is detained in here. That flows into this drain manhole. This catch basin is detained in this structure here, and that ties into that same one, and it flows down further. This one is tied in over in here, and it flows down. Basically, ultimately, it all ties together with drain manholes and control structures to this ultimate control structure here, and empties here.
Have you done any percolation tests in the soil?
We have not, and to do that, we would have to cross the wetlands. And we could come up with a methodology that would be acceptable to you to cross the wetlands. Perhaps we could talk to the DPW and have access that direction, if that's allowed, if the town would allow that.
Do all your are you doing oil separation in terms of all of the pavement and all of the cars that we're talking about?
We have deep sump catch basins with the hood and deep sump manholes, which, you know,
So the
double-
the standard manhole is a deep sump with the hood? Or
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Did they change the hood design? I know for
I
one
use,
period of
yeah,
time, you
they-
couldn't put the catch basin, the catch basin, you couldn't put it past the hood that was in the catch basin.
the,
So they would just take it off.
yeah, you know, you talk to different people, everyone has different answers. You know, the DPW guys who clean out the catch basins with the clamshell want the cast iron hoods, because they can't break them.
Well, they can't they can't put the clamshell past
Right.
the hood.
But at the same time, the clamshells are being phased out, and we're gonna end up having
Vacuum?
vacuum trucks take care of this.
You know, just when you say clamshell, just on another, I know it's not your purview, Jim, but directly across the street, there's, on Randolph Ave, on this side, there's wetlands and there's Indian artifacts that are there. The state knows about them.
It's down on the other side of the
Right,
the old dump road.
right, exactly. But until about 1750, 1780, Highland Street went from here. This was the main road to go from Milton. Randolph wasn't there, of course, so the road was Highland Street coming in this way, and then it went just where you are, and then over Hillside Street. This was all one big property, so this was all used. There was no road through there. In your examination, has anyone looked into Indian artifacts or anything? I'm just, when you're saying clamshells, that struck me. No? Are we aware of
No.
any of that?
I won't mention clamshells again.
It is an issue.
Sorry.
Well,
It's a little bit outside of ours, but not exactly.
Can you give us a diagram as how you came up with 4,700 square feet? Can you I'm just a simple guy, could you color it in?
yeah, it actually, it's, I believe it is in your plan set, it's the gray area.
I'll look at it.
Yeah, it's highlighted on
It's
this.
been, it's solid.
Okay.
So we've got issues on drainage calculations and a possible consultant perk tests, the oil separator, I think is part of your
How do
system.
you want to follow up with the perk test? Because I'd like to get them done sooner than later. I mean, crossing this with a track vehicle acceptable to you guys, where you can throw some plywood down, try to minimize the rutting?
I don't know how else to get in there. You can't come in from Reed Street. You can't, I think it would be tough at the DPW yard. That's not, I don't know.
We'd have to knock some stuff around to get into, because they have, it's blocked off.
Yeah, but this whole area has
See it
dope
on that
high
one,
weed
right?
in it. It's
You can kinda see it, Jim, on that one.
vegetated. I'd hate to see
We all,
plywood
on
down there.
the several sidewalks, we all walk in here
Yeah.
in this direction.
beautiful.
Tell you what I'll do, tell you what I can do. I'll talk to DPW director, is that,
Blue Hills helicopter. Out in the Canton Airport.
I hired an Apache helicopter pilot, yeah, get him to do it. Yeah,
Buy the drone yet?
I have not, I heard about it though. We're all out of business. But I'll talk to DPW and figure out how I can use this and not cross the wetlands at this time. If that ends up being a sticking point, I'll give Kathy a call and work
All right.
something out with you
You
guys.
have to think about that, because we've run into some very odd situations. We're up on, Parkwood Drive, and we didn't get any perk. It sat there
Well,
for days.
Yeah, no, like I say, you don't necessarily have, it doesn't have to perk. I mean, if the soils, you go look at what the stormwater management requirements say. If you have C&D soils, you don't necessarily have to meet the recharge. And because honestly, you can't. And there's no recharge going on there now. I expect the soils to be better than what everyone anticipates. But if they're not, there's an engineering solution to that.
Just scalable. You scale it up.
Yeah.
What about where those, well, I'll call them detention chambers? They're under the slab. What's on top of them? Is it the building, or are you under the parking lot?
Under the parking lot. And I made sure that I wasn't impaired by any sort of structural column or anything like that. I had the drawings to anticipate that. So it's underneath the slab, which nothing else will be underneath it except for that.
Right, but, and I'm not, reaching for this, but 2 Granite Avenue, those chambers collapsed, and that's not that long ago.
Yeah, well,
It's the same principle, they, with the, in the
Yeah.
parking lot.
and it'll be a structural slab over it for automobiles. And if
Oh, wait
you
a
put it.
minute, automobiles, what about the trash trucks coming in, oil delivery or whatever?
Well, this is underneath the building. This is strictly for automobiles. I mean, this is a low.
So it's,
Yeah, but you've
Oh,
got them
as
under
far
the
as-
parking lot as well.
Yeah, but as far as the parking lot goes,
that was
It's
the
all
problem
about-
at 2 Granite Avenue.
it's
They brought
it's how you put it in.
construction trucks in, and
Right.
they ended up in the sinkhole.
Well, in the same time, I mean, and I don't think it's necessary, because it's all about the installation. It's getting the loads dispersed across it with stone structural fill. But that being said, if I have to, I mean, we can put in concrete 30-inch pipe and disjoint it. So, I mean, there's an answer for everything, John.
But we need the answers before you start building. Not like
So-
Curry College.
So, but I think, honestly, the product itself is proven.
There's an answer for everything.
Yeah, now Bill just reminded me, we had a collapse at Milton Academy as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that unusual to have these things.
I had a collapse in Abington, and it came down to installation.
Too shallow.
No stone.
Oh, no.
So it wasn't your design, it was how they put it in. I see.
It's,
His partner's design.
yeah, no, listen, you stand by the product, they tell you how to put it in, you put it in the way they do it, you put the fabric will disperse the load. And honestly, a circle, cylinder, it's structurally sound.
All right, so we've got a bunch of issues. Snow storage, I mentioned before, collapse of the retention chambers, the bridge versus the extended
Piers.
the piers, which would open it up considerably, I think.
We'll take a look at that.
How
I like
many
the
trees
idea.
are being removed?
Good one.
All right.
National Heritage.
Sorry?
Second outflow.
That's what it was.
Yes.
National
Part
heritage.
of,
Is it on the list?
what's that?
National Heritage.
National Heritage, right.
We addressed the national heritage.
Oh, you did?
in our ZBA application.
Okay.
Would you like that
Yes.
page too?
Yes.
Please.
Okay, hang on.
I'll just hand you my whole book. A tablet.
And
Actually,
your
if you have it as a
architecture.
PDF and can send it through, that would be fantastic.
Estimated priority habitats.
You do, because that simplifies distribution and
Yeah.
we can print what we need. We don't.
Okay, you don't want, okay, so we'll get that to you as
Yeah, if
well.
you send it through as a PDF to Kathy and we can distribute it that way, that would be fantastic.
All right, any other questions by commissioners? Abutters? Yes, sir, I'm just going left to right. You're on.
My name
Could you
is-
introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mr. McGrath. I'm recently moved to Milton. I own 675, one of those two properties, Mr. Chairman, you signalled as potentially being maybe a lagoon at some point. And,
Yes.
moved here from another side of the world to raise a family here in Milton. Invested significant money in this property. I do not want to see clearly that jeopardized. I equally speak for Mr. Romero, my good friend and neighbour next door. Apart from the visual impact, etc., whatever, I am concerned. I'm a chemical engineer, work for a property insurance company. I deal with flood losses day in, day out. I'm concerned about the water discharging down to this wetland area. We're allowing a 10-foot culvert to evacuate that water, if I understand. Will there be a grating over that water? And if and when that grating were to block up with tree limbs, foliage, etc., because I do see dead trees from my back window, what will be the impact of that water backing up in that culvert? And also my second question is the sewer, for the toilet, shower, etc., my home, that runs along the back of the properties. Is this apartment complex going to also drain into those
That's correct.
sewers? And what would be the backup, in the event of a storm backup or whatever it might be, that could flood into our property? So two questions there for you, please, Mr. Chairman.
Your side?
I can answer well, I guess the first one with regards to the stormwater, the runoff. We're required to drain the property at a rate that's no more detrimental to off-site properties or abutting properties. We have to, we can't just like run this water into this area and hope for the best. We have to control it in a responsible fashion. And I think the system that we've proposed does that. The commission came up with an idea of dispersing it across a long line, and actually, I kind of like it, and we can certainly accomplish that.
Answer me this, please. The culvert.
And as far as the culvert goes, there is no grate. It's meant to be open, and and allow for wildlife and allow for unrestricted flow for the water to flow down gradient to.
And where it to back
Randolph
up,
Ave.
where it to back up, what's the scenario?
You know, I don't anticipate a backup.
Where it to back up, what's the scenario? What height of water could be retained by the roadway?
You mean as far as what kind of,
If it's
how
blocked.
high is this gonna get?
Yes.
No higher than it is today.
No, assuming it's backed up.
Oh, assuming it's backed up?
Yeah, the road is.
Say,
drained,
say,
so
so
it's-
say we dammed it?
Yes.
I couldn't say.
How high are you building the roadway off the?
The road is elevation, I wanna say 15. The wetlands, I believe, are at 10. If I'm not mistaken.
5 feet of water could potentially back up in that area.
5 feet of water will not back up into that. But,
Sir,
I mean, if there's, yeah, if Noah's gonna visit, sure.
sir, I mean,
You may have to.
I also want to reiterate what was talked about earlier, which is that there is a long-term maintenance plan that will be a requirement of the ZBA permit that is issued. So unlike the condition that's there today, not only will there be controls, but there will be a maintenance plan with regard to those controls.
That is true.
and the sewage question?
Sewage question, you're at the top of the, there's sewer that comes down flowing through here. It's an 8-inch line. We don't anticipate any sort of backup issues for such a large main and such a small portion of the time that flows in this direction.
So it's been backed up by calculations.
I certainly can provide that.
So which way is the flow?
If it comes, there's sewer easements that come down off of Highland, and then it flows opposite to where, past DPW, and comes out to Randolph Ave. And then it flows back down on the opposite side of Randolph Ave and goes to the pump station. I think that's the way it goes.
Other
Questions
abutters?
on a deed restriction, right away?
Again, my name is John Witten. I'm here representing Joseph Lombardi, who lives at 294 Highland Avenue. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm an attorney. I've taught in this area for a long time. I've represented a lot of municipalities dealing with comprehensive permits, and I currently am town council for the town of Marion and the town of Stowe, and special counsel for a bunch of municipalities dealing with 40B matters. Mr. Chairman, I suspect that the commission will continue this hearing, so others I know want to speak, and I know the commission members are tired, so I'm going to be very brief. With your permission, I'd like to speak again at the continued hearing. But I just want to raise one macro issue, and that is we've heard a couple times tonight from the applicant or their agents that the local wetlands bylaw doesn't apply. And I'm here to say that's wrong as a matter of law and as a matter of common sense. The local bylaw, the Milton Wetland Bylaw, applies because that's what the law says. The applicant has chosen not to file under the bylaw. That itself violates the bylaw, because the bylaw is quite clear that anyone who seeks to fill, dredge, or alter a wetland resource, which this is, must file under the wetland bylaw. So just procedurally, the applicant can choose to feign and duck all they want, saying 40B exempts from the local bylaw. It's wrong as a matter of law. It's wrong as a matter of policy. It's simply not true. So as a matter of fact, this application is incomplete, and I would ask respectfully, Mr. Chairman, through you and through the commission members, that the applicant be required to file under the bylaw before this hearing gets continued to a subsequent date. The fact that they're before the ZBA is totally irrelevant. If they wanted to go to the Board of Appeals prior to coming to the Concom and asking for a portion of a waiver from the local bylaw, they could have. They've chosen not to. They've come to you first, and your regulations, adopted by town meeting, approved by the Attorney General, require them to file under the local bylaw. So, Mr. Chairman, that's a macro comment. I have a lot of micro comments, many of which the commission members have already identified, including the inaccuracies of the plan. But I respectfully ask to hold those for a later date so other people can speak.
Bylaw analysis, so wouldn't that require that we weigh the interests under the affordable housing?
No, sir.
statute and the,
No, Mr. Chairman, absolutely not. In fact, your jurisdiction doesn't mention the word affordable housing once. Your jurisdiction says the
no,
Wetlands
that's what
Protection
I'm
Act.
saying, but if you look at it from the other way, if you look at the state prioritization of affordable housing, doesn't that, don't we have to enter into a balancing?
No,
Because
Mr.
I
Chairman.
understand that local law can sometimes apply, but it has to have a significant interest to be balanced against affordable housing.
Respectfully, Mr. Chairman, this is my entire practice. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've litigated a whole bunch of 40B cases. That's not correct. That's what the applicant wants you to believe, and that's what the applicant goes around the Commonwealth telling ZBAs and Board of Commission members to believe. But in fact, you don't do any balancing outside of the Act itself, and you have total discretion under the limited project exception, if this is over 5K, which I think we all think it is, and you also have total discretion under the up to 5K. There's no balancing this commission does. The balancing is at the Board of Appeals level and on appeal to the Housing Appeals Committee. For the commission to introduce a social good like affordable housing would be analogous to the commission introducing any other social good, like more police or fire presence. Your role is very respectfully myopic, and myopic to protect the wetlands interests under the Act and your local bylaw. Any suggestion that you should be balancing affordable housing is wrong as a matter of law, and respectfully, that's not why you are on the Conservation Commission. Others have that charge in Massachusetts. It's a very lateral form of government. Your job is very focused and myopic, and that's why people shouldn't be coming to you and saying the project's too big, or there's too many 3 bedrooms or not enough 2 bedrooms, because your job is so myopic. It focuses on the crossing and on stormwater and on the very credible discussion that you've had with the applicant about how do you possibly build foundations that close to a wetland and not impact further wetlands. So I would answer your question, Mr. Chairman, directly, no. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Marilyn Newman, environmental attorney with the team, the applicant's team. I'd just like to respond on the procedural question that Mr. Whitten has raised. The applicant has applied for a local bylaw wetlands permit as a part of the comprehensive permit. That's the process that 40B provides. The information about local bylaw compliance is being provided here for the Commission's consideration and information, but the permit is going to be issued as part of the comprehensive permit. It doesn't mean that the local bylaw doesn't apply. The local bylaw does apply, but it is ultimately under the 40B statutory process. It's ultimately a part of the comprehensive permit review that's administered by the ZBA. So we respectfully disagree that there's no permit application that needs to be filed beyond the notice of intent that's been filed to the Conservation Commission. And all those issues are properly before you. And the information is being provided to you on local bylaw standards so that you can provide your advice to the zoning board on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there isn't one case, HAC case, or appellate case, that stands for that proposition.
All right. I don't think we need to debate the issue. Abutters.
John Driscoll, 718 Randolph Ave. Mr. Kerner, I appreciate this meeting, and I like how you picked up about the snow and the chemicals, but I wish the town practiced what you preach, because when they plow the snow in their town, they had to push all the snow toward your wetland that you're worried about, right? And they have a salt pile, a sand pile with salt in it right now, no cover on it, running down the road. So I just wish the town would practice what you preach, and I'm not sticking up for this project. I just wish the town would just adhere to what you practice, preach.
All right.
And I don't see it as an emergency access road there. For every other development I work in the town has an access road for vehicles. So is that gonna come into play in future down the road?
Can you answer that, Jim?
Not at this time.
You can't answer it?
I can't answer it right now because we don't have an emergency access right there, but, you know, you never know what can happen.
The assisted living has one right at the corner of Randolph Ave. And they have, right at the corner of Reedsdale Road, they have an emergency access. And that's only a 17-bed building. This is 90 units. So I don't know how they're gonna get it without an access road, a second access road.
That's probably going to be a ZBA issue on public safety.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be going through some wetlands, so it should be probably talked here, right?
Well, certainly if it does go through
We'll
wetlands,
address
that's
it if it comes.
Okay.
Is there another deal?
I feel better
behind the
already.
scenes in the-
No, no,
People don't know?
you make a valid, you make a
Is there
valid.
another deal behind the scenes in the, when we talked about this 5 months, it was 72 units, now it's 90. And the town planner presented that, and he didn't come to the neighbors about that. That's all I'm trying to say, Mr. Chairman. You're
Sorry.
doing a great job, thank you.
Do you agree that the number of bedrooms are shrinking?
You increased the units, you went from, you got rid of
72
a lot
to
of
90.
three-bedroom units.
But there are fewer, there are
Right,
fewer of the
but
three
they're gonna
bedrooms.
impact our neighborhood, but they're not gonna impact the town as much.
I know what you're saying, because
Yeah,
More
yeah,
traffic,
yeah.
less.
No,
Yeah.
schools.
children,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
schools.
So you're gonna sell out one neighborhood to help the whole town. Just so everybody knows that on TV. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Yes, sir.
I'm Ken Zhang. I live at 681 Randolph Ave. About the units increasing from 72 to 90, that would significantly increase the number of cars coming in and out of that driveway.
Because they're smaller.
It's already treacherous as a
And it's
parent of young
impossible
kids.
for my wife to cross the street in the morning.
Is there a traffic light being proposed?
There's a traffic report prepared and submitted to the ZBA. That traffic report will be discussed on December 2nd.
Okay, all right, that's a good point. It's probably a good public safety point to make, because that's a lot of cars. There are 156 parking spaces?
There, just to, again, this matter will be taken up at the ZBA. There has been a traffic study submitted to the ZBA, and the reality is that we no longer have 33 three-bedroom units. We have 9 three-bedroom units. The remaining units are 1 and 2 bedroom units. Therefore, the people occupying those units, there are less people occupying those units. So I don't believe there has been a significant change in the number of cars or parking spaces, but it is something that will be addressed and peer reviewed at the ZBA.
All right, thank you.
And also regarding the crossing, is there any mitigation plans regarding spillage or any leakage from?
Well, at the very beginning, I made a comment about what I thought was a pretty effective plan, but limited to during construction, and I acknowledge there are 2 plans in here. But, the erosion sedimentation control plan is all construction, and it's actually
Yes.
pretty thorough.
Yeah.
It's always pretty good, but every paragraph says during construction. And then I go back to the operation and maintenance plan, and it's about, 1/4 of the detail. It's pretty brief. And you've got a roadway going through the wetlands, and that's a legitimate point, that, when somebody goes out and tosses something out the window, what do you do with that? And who's
That's
responsible?
littering.
Littering, we'll call the police.
If I may, the property will be professionally managed, and they will have leases in place, and they will have standard credit checks and background checks of the people that are going to be living there. It is, again, going to be a property that is going to have an operations and management plan and a professional management company that is going to be operating the property and enforcing that plan that is in place, and that ultimately will be responsible if someone does something inappropriate.
All right,
It will have more controls than most single-family homes that are abutting the property, and quite frankly, more oversight because it will be professionally managed, and there will be investors and so on and so forth.
I appreciate what you said. We hear quite often applicants say, "Oh, we're gonna do the right thing." Then they give it to a contractor, and the contractors destroy our conditions. And it happens all the time. And we go back to the applicant and say, "Hey, we didn't do it," and the contractor said, "Hey, we're not the applicant." So we have to be able to reach through and
You can
make sure
answer
that
that question.
the ongoing entity has that responsibility.
I'm the developer, but I'm also the contractor, and I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be running this at the end of the day. So I'm a responsible party, and so there won't be any passing of the buck.
All right, and I actually think it's a pretty good plan for during the construction phase, but I was disappointed that it didn't have that detail on the ongoing.
On the operation.
Operation.
I'll be honest with you, John, and once the construction is done, you know, the short-term effects of this construction of crossing the wetlands is significant, so it takes a decent amount of detail to cover what needs to be done. Once this is set and constructed, the structures themselves are designed for ease of maintenance, and it's set on a schedule, you know, be it quarterly or biannual, and you're going to send somebody in there with a vac truck and inspect it. They're going to write up a report and hand it to you. So from my perspective, it is brief, because it's, as far as the stormwater controls go, you have 3 components. It might be, there's a lot of them, and it, you know, might take the, you know, most of the day to take care of that, but there's no surface detention basin that requires, you know, any sort of, you know, vegetation management. It's pretty much just hard structure and inspection. So I can certainly take a look at it and see if there's additional detail that needs to be done, and I can do that for you.
Okay. And part of my concern is that if you're talking about a 10-foot culvert, that could get blocked, as, you know, Mr. McGrath, I think, said that?
I said, yeah. That's my professional experience in the course of a 4-year life of
I can put that in the report.
Okay.
And we'll look into the piers as well.
Yeah, look into doing a precast, and the whole thing will be open.
All right, other abutters or members of the public? Yes, sir.
I'm getting old,
No, yeah.
and getting older waiting here. But I can't let it go when my intelligence is down upon. This lady to say, I have a couple of questions for you, but I have to put this in. For her to say to you, there's going to be less cars because we cut down on the 3 bedrooms and increased the number of units. The 3 bedrooms probably had children in it who don't drive, but I can assure you the children aren't renting the new number of units that they're putting in. So there will be more cars, and for you to say that there will be less cars is an insult to my intelligence. But my question that I have, number one, has the town done their own survey with regard to the wetlands? Or do they just
We sure
believe
did.
what they say?
No, we were out there
No, I know you
3
walked
very
those
lengthy
separate.
times, and we had our own consultant. You know, Jim was correct. They paid for our consultant.
Okay, so the town did confirm what the wetlands that they're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
that consultant did. We actually disagreed with our own consultant and moved the wetlands. Unknowingly, we made it more than 5,000 square feet, which changes the performance standard. They appealed it to DEP, and DEP moved it back to their lines. And we're subject to being overruled by DEP. And by happenstance, it dropped under the 5,000 square foot performance standard. So it made it easier for the project to go forward.
Okay, and one of my other questions is, I'm not very good with square feet, but I'm trying to picture how large an area this is. Is this the land that Senator Joyce put together for the mall that you bought from them? This is that land?
Yes.
I know how big that land, that area was, but is that the land that you bought?
It's a portion of it.
Portion of it.
It's a portion of it.
Portion of it?
Yep.
So there's still some land up there that he had that you don't own?
I'm not too familiar with that particular property, but I think the DPW yard was included in that as well.
No, he didn't purchase that, no.
Right, but it was part of the
You're talking about a
development.
swap.
They were gonna plan to do a swap.
No,
and they-
they're
that
gonna
never-
swap across the street.
Right.
But this land is stationed, this land was put together from a few owners, right here. So I was wondering, if you own that whole land, I know how big that land is, but I don't, square feet doesn't help me much. So if I knew whether Mr. Holland and Mr. Walsh bought everything he owned on that, not owned, but represented on that side of the street, well, then I'd know how big it was.
Yeah, it's, you know, all of the land, including 7-Eleven, and the reason they bought 7-Eleven is because I told them it would be advantageous to them because the wetland crossing would be less. So they ended up buying the house next door to minimize the wetlands impacts. So this is added in. But all the parcels total, I want to say 8.14 acres. And then when you take this house out, it ends up being 7.81.
My question to you, Mr. Chairman, I don't know this answer. The conservation, do they deal with wild animals too, or is it just
Yes.
water?
Yes.
Okay, well, then I have a question. And in this area, a number of deer reside, believe it or not, and a number of turkeys and a number of foxes, et cetera. But right now, there's a den of coyotes, 8 coyotes with babies living on your property. And they're an endangered species. So I was wondering what you were gonna do with them, and I'm wondering what you were gonna do with the rattlesnakes that are down in there. I have a feeling they're gonna be leaving your area and coming to other properties. And if that's so, we'd have to hire somebody and bring them to your house. I was wondering what plan you have for all that. That's pretty dangerous stuff we're talking about here.
Have you seen this?
That wasn't mentioned to the commission tonight.
I think we
But
did
you
touch
have an
upon
endangered species on your land. I'm wondering, have you considered it?
this. We reviewed the natural heritage endangered species maps, and there's no estimated or priority habitat on the property.
Okay, then meet me and we'll go look at the den.
All right, no, that, he is, Scott's correct, though, that because, you know, that's what I look for, too, because I know there's a lot of wildlife there. And the endangered species map is further up Randolph Avenue. It's up where the...
This is a new den.
A new one, okay.
Well, unless there are rattlesnakes there that we don't know about.
Oh, sure.
If you can document that there are rattlesnakes.
Well, we
There are in the Blue Hills.
take pictures, I don't know. about
Yes,
that.
indeed, take pictures, you know,
What about the
something.
coyotes? Because they definitely do live there.
I don't think coyotes are endangered
They're not.
species.
They're not
Yeah,
endangered.
move them,
Huh?
though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they are.
Oh.
Coyotes?
Well, my house they are. Yes, ma'am.
So the difference in elevation between the back of the property and Randolph Avenue, what is going to prevent that land from eroding? I mean, it's a big drop off. And you've got all this water, and you've got all this construction, these underground garages. I mean, how do we know that the land in the back isn't going to erode?
Well, you're talking off locus?
Talking what?
You're talking the land up in here?
In the back of, I
Oh,
call it
yeah.
the back of the property.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt for a minute? And this is my fault, but the last couple of speakers have not identified
Oh, I'm
themselves.
sorry, Ellen Shea.
Thank you very much,
on
Mrs. Shea.
Island Street.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
So, how do we know that the land in the back, what I call the back of the property?
We're gonna leave as much existing vegetation on the property as we can to stabilize the lot. That being said, whatever we do clear and whatever we do landscape, we have to make sure that it's stabilized and, well, for lack of a better term, is stable.
What are the setbacks be between the properties? Is it 25 feet? There's a parking lot there that looks like it's awfully close to,
This right here?
yeah.
That's, I'd say it's over 50 feet.
What about these underground garages? Are they under the parking lots? Under the buildings?
Under the building.
Under the buildings? Not all of them. No, some of them.
There are 83 spaces under the building and 73 spaces on the
So
surface.
they're underneath the parking spaces. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I hope that the town,
I'm sorry, Doctor, could you put your, could you identify yourself for the record?
Richard J.,
Thank you.
town meeting member, precinct 9.
All right.
Southwood Drainage. I would hope that the town will start looking out for the DPW there, because that is one heck of a hill. From the top part down towards the DPW, that's a good-sized hill. And that land, when you start digging there, that's going to affect the DPW yard, no question about it. And here we are talking about putting a fire station in there. I think the town, and hopefully, Mr. Chairman, that you will bring it to the town's attention that they have to start, if they're gonna start digging there, they better look out for the town property.
All right, thank you. Ma'am, you had a comment.
Yeah, I'm Ann Borlotti, and I've been on Randolph Avenue for 57 years. I'm not sure who else can say that. Okay. I know the owners of the 5 houses. I know who built them. I've been in each one of them. I've been there, as I said, for 57 years. I'm worried primarily, first of all, the 150 parking spaces and the 150 cars that probably will occupy them coming onto Randolph Avenue. I'm having trouble getting my own driveway, which is across the street from Bingle's house, which is the driveway. Okay. Secondly, when they flush those toilets in the 90 apartments, how's that going to affect Randolph Avenue? The house, it took me 50 years before they took and they resurfaced the bloody street, you know.
It did.
And and it's dying now already. And I'm thinking about myself, why do they want that? I used to pick watercress in the back of 687 Randolph Avenue. And you bought what? Bettinati's house, probably. Yeah, right up next to the town, yeah. As I said, I'm so familiar with every one of those branches, and I know what they had to do. And I know the Brown's house, which was 680, probably 683 or something like that. She had to put, I don't know how many bales of peat moss, she said, in order to absorb all the water that was there. I used to take and swim in a swimming pool that was in the backyard of 687 Randolph Avenue. So when they're talking about putting something like that up, believe me, I'm not for it at all. I'm not for the traffic, or the fact that they've disrupted all the water supplies and stuff like that. I think it's just disgusting. That's just my opinion.
Well, you're entitled to it. Thank you very much, ma'am.
I understand 57
I
years
would
of
just
taxes.
make note of the fact that watercress requires flowing water.
That's
So if
right.
this water is just sitting there, you have to have flowing water
That's
for
what I thought
watercress.
too.
You cannot have water just sitting. It has to be flowing.
Scott, it's not, there's nothing on the USGS, right? I mean, I look for that. Okay.
No, that's the first thing we look at, is to see if there's something shown. There's nothing. And that's when we go and look at the watershed and run the stream stats analysis. And I'd have to go back in the file, but I think we went through this at the last, during the NRAD process. But it's a very, very small watershed.
All right, thank you.
Just wish we could resolve the issue of, does the town wetland bylaw apply to a 40B project? Some people say yes, other people say no.
No, perhaps we did address that question, but perhaps we could submit something to the commission in writing on that.
Well, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I would assume, Mr. Chairman, that you'll accept other opinions.
Oh, of
Oh,
course.
certainly.
We invite them.
I'll say,
We don't want to shut anybody off and anybody else.
More to go.
can we get back, she also asked a question about water flow, and I believe again that a test has been done and that will be addressed and peer-reviewed at ZBA.
Well, I talked to Scott about that, but I mean, we've walked that site several times, and there really isn't any sort of channelization or for that matter, stream flow in this large wetland area. I mean, maybe back when maybe the wetlands changed over 50 years.
What type of steel wrinkle?
As of right now, it's a BBW, as defined by DEP.
Sorry, understood. Yes, sir.
I'm headed. Gene Irwin, town meeting member, precinct 9. I think it's maybe a waste of our time going back to Mr. Driscoll's point. If there's no emergency access, maybe the whole project is weak. And I'm looking in for Randolph Ave, it looks like everything there is wet between Randolph and those buildings. And I think I think the application's incomplete not to have that factor there.
Somebody at town meeting, I think, addressed that issue. Do you remember?
Emergency access road in there?
No.
Yeah, there was a lady that lives up on back to the old St. Elizabeth's rectory.
Oh,
yeah. What's the road?
Clifton.
No, it's off that.
Wildwood.
Wildwood. There was a woman at town meeting that stood up and said that somebody was trying to buy her house.
Right. That was like 10 years ago.
No, it was this month at town meeting.
She's from Clifton.
Yeah.
But
That was the mall.
she backs up to
That's-
that
she's very
property,
close. She's in
pretty
Boston.
close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they were doing the mall, they wanted to buy her property. I know they recently asked her. But even still, I mean.
We didn't.
All right, good point. Anybody else? Because we're coming up on the midnight hour, and my understanding is we don't want to change dates because we violate the open meeting law. But yes, ma'am, you had a
One
question.
question, Francis Boyle, Clifton Road, 369, town number, whatever, not changed yet. The, one question, does the roadway act as a sluiceway?
There's no roadway there yet. Is that?
The proposed. All right, so does the proposed roadway to access the building act as a sluiceway for additional water to come in and shed?
No.
Why not?
Depends on the pit.
Because we have the grades here. I assume you're talking about from Randolph Ave?
No, to get to the wetland for the people who spoke, who own the house.
There are catch basins down here. The road starts at Randolph Ave, dips down, and then goes up to the site, pretty much follows the contours of the property. There are catch basins down at the base in the back of the backyards of 693 and 711, for lack of a better term, but right in this location here, and capture the stormwater.
So there'd be additional stormwater entering the wetland?
Correct.
Than today, but coming from Randolph? So you're going to increase the flow into it?
No, we're not increasing the flow into it. The stormwater is taken into account for the calculations.
All right. Anything else, folks? All right, do we have the assent of the applicant to continue this? Mr. Howard?
December
Thank you.
9th,
So,
is the next
do
meeting.
you want, I know you're meeting with the ZBA on the 2nd of December. Do you want
correct.
us to put you back on the 9th at our meeting?
9? Yep.
Great. All right, thank you very much. Thank you all for your attention and patience.
Thanks, John. Good seeing you.
Additional business?
No, we do have another line item. Yes.
How are you? Hope I'm not getting you in trouble.
The what?
Conservation, yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that you like my ideas. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it'll be cheaper. Well, that's come in with some precast planks, you build your piers, drop them on, grease span. The water's the one you gotta get.
Oh, I have no idea, I'm in bed by 9.
Is that the one? No, wait, you gotta bury it. You have to bury it, so you're gonna put it below. Then you, yeah, so it's, yeah, then you vote, right. Good luck with it. Is this me or you?
You, that's you, I just looked at it one point.
No, that's good. Share and share alike, right?
Okay, let's see if we can do this by midnight. Let's see if we can burden 88 Clifton Street with a conservation easement.
We got 10 minutes.
John, no, I haven't seen that.
I'm with you.
What's that?
Maybe.
What's that?
Don, who was here?
Ingrid, go.
All right, we're back in session.
Oh, Ingrid left. Oh, she left her stuff.
One vote we have to take.
Sorry. We're just excited to go home.
Don't anyone leave before they sign all the,
I would doubt that she, pardon me?
Okay.
You don't see it, no. I'll bring this
Oh, I don't
stuff
see
home.
him.
Next on the agenda, we've got enforcement order 88.
You didn't see John Talbot here earlier, did
Just to
you?
get everybody up to speed, this is
Arthur
something
probably
we've
did.
discussed before. We voted in favor of this resolution.
I thought it was done.
Well, no, what was held up was that there's a refinance in the house for a construction mortgage.
Yep.
And the bank said, wait a minute, if you give an easement or a restriction, it's going to change the value of your land. Therefore, we have to go out and take a look at it and make sure that it doesn't devalue your property. They did that. They finally agreed to go ahead with the construction loan. And then they said, however, we have to work on the language of the easement. So what we've got here is, and rather than calling it a conservation easement, they called it a conservation restriction. And then it went from the bank to... Did you already turn that? Yeah, I think you already turned it.
It's been a long night.
Yeah, whoa. Record. Okay.
Got 8 minutes
All
to
right.
go, guys.
I know. So the bank then sent it to
Andrew Stamp.
Bill Clark and John Flynn, and they have been dealing with selectmen. And if we approve this tonight, it's going to be approved contingent upon the approval by the selectmen tomorrow night. And they will approve it contingent upon our approval. So we're sort of cross approvals. Is that correct, Bill? In your...
Correct.
Okay. So everybody's had a chance to look at it, maybe?
Yeah.
I hope.
Yep.
And the purposes, I had talked to Bill before about the purposes, that's fine. Were there any changes, any other changes?
No.
Okay.
You said the plan changed a little.
There's,
The drip line on the tree.
what it says
I thought
is
you said
proposed
today that-
easement area. It's going to be proposed, it's going to say conservation restriction area.
Right.
So we need
So
to
it takes
revise.
out, right, it takes out proposed easement and puts in conservation restriction.
Oh, I see, that plan change,
Yeah.
okay, I get you. I'm sorry.
Um,
I thought you were talking about the other change they already made, and that's
Oh, no,
to
you
put the
said
old...
to me this afternoon on the
It-
phone. It was contingent on that and the new revised plans that shows that
It
it's a
says it here,
restriction.
within the area that is the conservation restriction, and it's in the title
Okay,
of the plan itself that'll say conservation restriction.
okay. Yeah, that's fine, because we had actually adopted that plan before,
Okay.
a couple
Right.
months ago.
But it was called proposed easement plan.
Correct.
Right,
So now it's conservation restriction.
Got
And
it.
it's more definitive.
so we can vote to approve the new plan, the conservation restriction to the town of Milton. And then, once this is filed, he'll give us a check.
He'll give you a
No,
check.
give me a check first, then I file it.
Yeah, right, you are correct.
Spoken like a real wife.
Right. Wait till the check clears.
You're going to file.
Typical woman. Give me the check.
And you're going to vacate the enforcement order at the registry.
That would be done contemporaneously with report.
So moved.
I'll second.
I vote to burden the 88 Milton Street with a conservation restriction.
Brendan, how about do we benefit them?
Oh, help it benefiting them.
Yeah.
So there's a motion, been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Done.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
I will leave it for the selectmen to sign. After the selectmen
Well,
sign,
you know,
I will give it back to Kathy.
Our names are on here too.
Right.
I understand that. I'm going to have the selectmen sign it
Yeah.
tomorrow night. I'll give the whole thing back to Kathy with the selectmen signatures, and Kathy can take and get yours, because you have some, there's a page in here for you to go. They have to
It's
do
all
it
of
too.
them, it's all of them. So
Well,
if
can't we
they
just
sign
sign it
it
now?
tonight, I can notarize
I
it
don't know.
after the selectmen,
Okay.
I'm a notary.
We want it to come back to us.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll do it
Okay.
then.
Do you need
Yeah.
extra copies then?
Oh,
Are
can
we
they all
talking about
sign
this?
one and then I can make
This was in the
copies?
thing?
Oh, that's,
No, that sounds.
What should they sign?
I thought it was really
And
cool.
give it to you
That
for
sounded
the
good.
selectmen.
Doesn't work.
And notarize
Yeah.
it.
it's
Runs
his,
by
it's
his
his,
house.
Oh, private property?
Do that.
No,
Having
it goes on town property, but it's
You know what
already
we should
restricted
Do you have a blue
sign?
pen?
by an
To find
easement,
them.
Oh, it is?
conservation
Tonight,
easement
he'll give it to the
that
selectmen,
already
then
went
I'll
to the
notarize your
Secretary of
signatures
the
after the
Interior
selectmen
in
sign tomorrow
Washington
night.
to be accepted.
that's okay, as
And
long as
it's
it
rejected?
gets back
Huh?
to you.
And it was
Okay.
I
rejected?
just want to,
Accepted.
I want you
Oh,
to
what's
have it,
wrong?
right?
Huh?
Okay.
They
So
can't
you
do it.
exchange the check with.
They want off the,
Nobody else?
there's two lots, 18 and 17.
No, sign.
Yes,
Oh, yes? Yes or no?
Yes, I-
Yeah, because she's gonna get it, she won't notarize it until.
Afterwards.
After
Right.
it comes back from the selectmen.
Michael, two lots,
Yeah.
lot 18 and lot 17.
Yeah,
Okay, Joe Delaney gave the town an easement
yeah.
on lot 18 and 17, which said they will not charge any on those two lots. My hands are tied.
That's too bad.
We're still on camera, so we adjourn?
Well, that's his opinion.
Yes.
Right, we got 4 minutes, I haven't signed that.
Well, he can sign quicker than that.
Anything else, any other business?
Oh, we are?
Yes?
We're still on video.
You don't think anybody's staying up late enough to watch this, do you?
Isn't it recorded? You can play it tomorrow night for dinner.
I'll give you your pen back.
Thank
All
you.
right. Any other business? Hearing none?
I was disappointed we didn't put an LSP.
Okay, and then you're gonna give this back to me. I don't know.
Oh, we can, but.
I think we will.
We will, yeah.
I think we're going to, but I don't think
I
it.
don't believe a word he's saying.
How can we shut the television off?
Have you,
Adjourn?
Adjourn?
you're
Motion to
adjourned?
adjourn?
So moved?
Second? All in favor? We're
Aye.
adjourned.
Good.